Now, for weeks, there's been outrage over the killing of the much-admired Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Aqla during an Israeli raid in the West Bank. She was shot in the head, despite wearing a helmet and a flak jacket marked Press. Well, now the Al Jazeera news network that she worked for has said it will refer her killing to the International Criminal Court. This comes after an investigation by the Palestinian Authority, which concluded that Shireen was deliberately killed by an Israeli soldier. Well, Israel has repeatedly denied targeting journalists and called the findings a blatant lie. Let's get more on this now from our correspondent who is in Jerusalem. Yolande Nell joins us. Yolande, Israel also offered to work with the Palestinians and launch its own investigation, something that was declined. So why has this gone to the International Criminal Court?
Well, we learned at this news conference with international lawyers that already the Palestinians had put a submission to the International Criminal Court alleging that Israel systematically targets journalists, and that was in relation to the killing of 4 Palestinian journalists who were killed by Israeli snipers in Gaza in recent years. Now, that is, of course, something that Israel vehemently denies. It says it investigates the killing of all journalists and civilians by its soldiers. But Al Jazeera has said that it believes there is impunity, that Israel does not hold its soldiers to account, and at the request of the family of Shireen Abu Aqla, its veteran correspondent who was killed on the 11th of May while she was covering an Israeli military raid on the Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. It has asked for her case also to be included in that submission to the International Criminal Court. And it said in a statement that under the, because targeting any journalist in a war zone or in occupied territories is counted as a war crime under the Charter of the International Criminal Court, that is really something that it should investigate.
So, Yolande, what happens next? What are the next steps once the evidence is given to the ICCC?
Well, certainly we can expect that that will be quite a long, ongoing case. The Palestinians have a number of submissions that they've made to the ICC. Really, people have been looking more to investigations that are still ongoing back here. As you mentioned, the Palestinian Authority came out with the results of its official investigation last night. It had examined the bullet that was taken from the skull of Shireen Abu Aqla, and had also spoken to witnesses who were at the scene, other journalists who were there, and examined a tree where there were a number of bullet holes. That's next to where Shireen Abu Aqla was lying when she was shot. Now, it has said that it believes that she was targeted by an Israeli soldier. That is something that the Israeli defense officials were very quick to come out and deny. They have said in preliminary investigations, and they say that there are ongoing investigations by the Israeli military, that either they believe Shireen Abu Aqla was killed by indiscriminate gunfire by Palestinian militants who were in the area at the time, or by an Israeli sniper who is in a position about 200 meters away, who would have been in an exchange of fire with Palestinian militants. Now, eyewitnesses have been saying that they do not believe there were Palestinian gunmen who had a clear line of sight aimed at Shireen at that time. So really, the big issue is that the Palestinians still have the bullet. The Israelis say they would need that to identify it to any gun that they might have in their possession, and the Palestinians simply do not trust the Israelis to hand that bullet over and to have a joint investigation which could clear this up.
Yolande, thank you. Yolande Nell there in Jerusalem for us.